Hi Scorpio, thank you for clicking on your extended reading. We're going to try to go ahead and roll with this. I haven't had very much sleep. I had this huge project due for work, and I think it's been 20 some hours I was working on it. So, disclaimer though, I have done some of my best readings when I've been really tired and couldn't sleep, because there's like this altered it like alters your state of awareness or consciousness. There's not enough energy to overthink, so it's just easier for the stuff to come out. It's flow, like I was talking about. You just kind of like, because you're just too tired to overthink anything. So let's get into your reading. Start with these cards. So you have the 8 of Wands, the 9 of Swords, the 8 of Cups, Page of Swords, and the World card. If you watched the first video, you'll remember me talking about you not feeling well. With these cards right here and this. And then it kind of clued me in when I saw like this, like the this like electricity piercing through their head. So I'm thinking headaches, fatigue, just general malaise. And there's a reading. Somebody else had done a reading, and they were mentioning this, and I explained to them what somebody had actually told me, or I found out about a year ago. A good friend of mine follows space weather, and I believe she might be a Scorpio, but I'm not certain. I think she might be. Anyway, there's the space weather forecast. They follow the geomagnetic activity, which is affected by solar storms and that kind of stuff. The KP indexes have been all kinds of wacky the past, I want to say like the last week of September into early October. They've started to level out now. But, well, let me give you an example of some of the stuff I experienced. I follow her on Facebook because we're friends, obviously. So I can see when she's posting like updates about it. So now I know how it affects me. And it might not affect everybody. It's probably more of a case where it affects people, but they don't know what's going on because people don't really know that much about it. It's important enough to know that air traffic controllers have to be notified of it. You have disruptions in pacemakers, you have disruptions in communication, satellite communications, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a big deal. It's also what causes the northern lights, the aurora borealis. So one of my things was like my skin was getting really itchy. I was tired, very thirsty, and on occasion I'd have some night sweats. It just affects everybody differently. Just overall, just crappy mood for one thing. I mean, it just ugh. And but see, now I know what I need to do to feel comfortable. I know that I'm probably not going to have a lot of energy. I know that my skin's probably not going to feel that great. I just know what to do to kind of make the best of it. And in that respect too, it could also be a case of being a highly sensitive person, which is different from an empath, but sometimes they go together. If you read tarot or you're into any kind of that intuitive lifestyle, then you're probably an empath, which means that you're likely a highly sensitive person. Look for things like food allergies, skin allergies, just irritants, that kind of stuff. Sensitivity to noises, like I'm getting here, like this is you, like you just couldn't be bothered. There's just incoming blah, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to hear it, and it's, you know, everything around you in the world affecting how you feel. And again, I'm getting this energy of like air, you know, even though this is a Page of Swords, it's just like the energy from the Earth's atmosphere just kind of combating you, just not feeling yourself. And like I said, this isn't anything over the top or major, although they have been pretty extreme on either end comparatively to what, even when they're off kilter a little bit, they haven't been this extreme in a while. So the strangest thing is, like, I'm getting a message here off of this that really doesn't have much to do with this. This is some situation where somebody's thinking about walking away from something. The diamonds here, and just like the, I don't know, the cups, it's making me think of something, I don't want to say antiquated, but something solid, something foundational, and something valued. If I had to go out on a limb, I would say it's somebody maybe thinking about walking away from a relationship, or thinking about something. And the full moon is, we're still in the full moon energy right now in Aries, and it's looking at this person, and it's like, either you're getting ready to lose your chance, you better turn around, because once you go over that hill, it's done. The moon is sitting there, like, the ground is splitting here between the blue and the green. It's like the heart and the throat chakra colors. It's like, if you don't go back and talk to this person, or go to this person, and you go over that mountain, it's gonna split, and you're not gonna be able to get back across it. If that makes, that's just how I'm reading it. So it still blows my mind how I can pick up tarot cards that I've had for years and see a completely new message in it every time. Not every time, but sometimes, and I'm just like, how did I never see that before? But that's what I'm picking up. The red coat on this person, yeah, it's a lot of passion. And the other thing I don't do is I don't really get new cards a lot. After a while, they start to get kind of dingy, but that's when I start seeing different things in them. They start to change a little bit. This card even looks nostalgic. It's getting old. I don't know what's on it. It's probably makeup or something. Anyway, that's what it looks like. Yeah, but then full moon is saying don't go over that mountain. If you do, I don't know, it's kind of making me think of Sisyphus, how he was he was sent to well, he was not abolished. His punishment was to be on the mountain. See, I'm tired. I can't think. To be on the mountain and constantly roll a boulder up the hill and then have it roll back down again. And Albert Camus. He wrote a story called The Myth of Sisyphus, and I think he said something like, the struggle itself towards the heights is enough to fill a man's heart, something to that effect. And yeah, I mean, life is tough. So maybe this is leading into something else that I see, because I've spent a lot of time on this card. See, here's the love card right here. So this does have to do with love. This is very stone energy too, like mountain cold. So you need to somehow make an adjustment. My cup overflow. Both. Are you filling the right cups? Do you need to make peace with somebody? Two eights. I also am getting that it's a matter of urgency. There's a turtle here, which can indicate not being fast enough, but then there's a bird here. I don't know, it's like it feels like a matter of urgency, like something you need to hurry up and say or do, or it's going to be too late, and by not saying that, maybe, yeah, by not speaking up, you're going to be sentenced to a life of maybe regret or heartache, or it could be that it could be you on the other end of the spectrum, that you're thinking that you want this person to come say something to you, or, I don't know. That's for you. That's for people that are having relationship issues. For the people who aren't having relationship issues, I'm also seeing for some of you that your love is solid. These are for, like, this is even making me think of a wedding. Ooh, a wedding cake. Because I had those, like, fountain things on my wedding cake, like, back in the day. And it's solid as a rock. Balanced. I feel like there's a good communication, good relationship. You're in a good marriage. Equal partners. For the ones of you that are in a committed relationship, this is good. As well as, like, what I was seeing in the first set of cards about your work or whatever you're doing. I feel like you're going to be surprisingly successful. You know, even you were kind of looking at your accomplishments like, wow, like I can't believe I did that on my own, or, you know, I can't believe it worked out. And like I said, now you have people, like, admiring you. But I will caution you, if you are in any kind of self-help industry, anything like that, I'm also getting in any job situation here, I'm getting somebody riding your coattails. So be wary of people around you, because I'm getting the sense that somebody's going to try to rip off, like, some of your ideas and pass them off as their own, or just kind of copycat off of you, and you really can't copyright, like, everything, right? Like, everything you do, but also, I'm getting the feeling that if you're in some kind of an office where you guys have projects to do or something, or, I don't know, something getting done, like, there's some kind of work, somebody took some credit for it, or decided to jump in and just be like Mr. or Mrs. Butt Kisser, and they, you know, tried to get some work to, like, one up you, or just one up everybody, because they're just like that kind of person, you know, like that person. There's always that person in the office. Yeah. So I haven't worked in an office in a couple years, because the office politics is just not my thing. I work way better till I'm communicating with people. I love the people that I work with, because I don't have to see them. But yeah, like, they've bitten off more than they can chew, and they're gonna trip up. It's gonna trip them up. They may have to come to you for help. So or admit their faults, or they're gonna fall flat on their face. But just by trying to one up everybody, they're gonna probably look like a fool. Let's see what else I have. If anything else comes up with them, I'll pull that again. The Messenger of Fire, Messenger of Water, and 3 of Earth, 4 of Fire, 9 of Water, Ace of Earth. I better not bend over the table a little too much. I was seeing that mother father energy here. And I'll tell you, Scorpio, this is not coming out to me like what I'm picking up here. And again, it's not going to resonate with everybody. A mother and father here, right? Mom and dad. And look at just the general glare. I mean, you could almost like look at that and say like beer goggles or something, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that one parent was a drinker or drug addict. It could go many different ways, but I'm seeing it. I don't know how extreme it would be, but it's just different scenarios for other people. And I'm not going to focus so much on the parental part, because this it's aged and rusted, like it's, I mean, it is in the past, but more of how it affected you as a child is, and I'm not saying that it was one or the other, it could have been both. But this is like making me think of you escaping into like some kind of fantasy land. Like you came out fine. You, like I said, Scorpio just is great in melancholy. You know, you just do well down there. And so this was just like your way, like here, you're just, you know, like, fuck it, you know what I mean? Like, even at an early age, like, I think I counted, what, like 8 or 9 candles on her head. Like, yeah, even at, like, the age of 8 years old, you're just, like, you had enough sense to just be like, fuck it, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna do me. I'll just deal with it myself. You kind of just went off in your own little world. And I'll tell you, well, it's the strangest thing how I get these messages, but there's a hole in this stone here, and it just making me think of when I was a little girl. There was in the town that I grew up in, there were a lot of older homes, and there was this really old brick house, and there was like a brick that slid out of the side of this house, and I used to write letters and shove it inside this house. I don't know, just stupid stuff about like guys I had crushes on, or not guys, but you know, little boys, or you know what I mean. Anything I wanted to hide, even like pieces of Bazooka Joe gum and the stupid stuff I would just stick in the hole in the wall in this house. I don't know why, because you know, I just did. But it just kind of made me think of that. Or you just go off in your little area and play. And then here, I'm getting, like, even as a teenager, see her hair's kind of like stripy, and then here she's got like spiky stuff. Is even maybe you just kind of towards your teenage years and your early adult years, and you went kind of wild a little bit, you know. She looks like a wild woman, but that's how you handled your emotions. I mean, she's underwater, but you took care of yourself. And even though like it's blue, right? It's blue. Because when you go into your early teenage years, you can get kind of like down. You know, it's hormone stuff like that. But you dealt with it, and whatever manifested out of your life, it seems to be like in your job, in your marriage. For many of you, everything's turned out fine. And Scorpios are pretty. I said you're pretty resilient. You can handle what's above. You can, you're a water sign, but you are ruled by Mars. So you've got the moon in Aries right now, which is just illuminating everything. Nine of Swords and the Child of Swords. The dragon. What's the dragon from? Oh wow, look, the Child of Swords is Pinocchio. Weren't we talking about the belly of the whale? Yeah. So facing your fears. Very nice. And look, here's like a fire and water here. Don't lie to me. Or face yourself. There's all kinds of cool messages in these cards. So the Nine of Swords typically indicates depression, anxiety. I believe the dragon comes up in, wow, it's been so long since I read fairy tales, but maybe Peter Pan? But I don't know exactly. It was probably slaying the dragon, right? So what would that be mean? I mean, there's a, when they say slaying the dragon, there's something in emotions that I think it's kind of like the same thing as like the belly of the whale, that kind of thing, slaying the dragon, or I think I've heard that term used in like addictions before. So maybe the way that you dealt with some of this stuff when you were younger is maybe you did drugs, maybe you partied, maybe you drank. Nobody's perfect, especially when you're going through stuff. So you slayed your dragons, like you stopped lying to yourself and faced it, and it came out. And if you are in that energy now where you haven't done that yet, you definitely can. I mean, like the Ace of the Pentacles and stuff that you have with starting your business and everything, like the energy's there for you. I mean, you can do anything you put your mind to. I mean, you're Mars ruled planet, so or sign, you are a fighter. Definitely a fighter. I mean, you're a Scorpion. You kill people very easily, but not literally kill people. Okay, I'm gonna get a dream card for you real quick, because I just want to see if I can get anything else, and then we'll wrap it up, because if I go to sleep now, I can sleep for like maybe 3 or 4 hours before I have to go do my grandmother's hair. So come on. I was able to get quite a few messages out of here, and I'm sorry if they didn't resonate, but check back next month, get something else. Seriously, check your birth chart. One thing I did manage to do when I had family here last weekend when I had planned on doing more readings, and it was just, yeah, of course I'm going to put everything aside when my family's here. So. But I ended up coming across this other astrology class that I took, and I learned some really, really cool stuff. you have insects and reptiles, and cell phones. So the insects and reptiles, to me, that's ironic, because if you see this little, there's like a little gnat flying around, or a fruit fly. I had one flying around all day when I was trying to work, and I finally killed it, and then there's another one. Those things, like, proliferate, like, procreate, proliferate. You know what I mean. Reproduce, that's what see, I'm so tired. Vocabulary has never been hard for me, and when I'm tired, it is. But anyway, there's this little gnat flying around, and it's annoyance, right? Insects. Within the animal kingdom, reptiles and insects carry a strong symbolic charge with largely negative overtones. They typically represent worries or threats in your waking life. A reptile can indicate emotional coldness or possibly a situation or relationship you would benefit from dealing with rationally rather than emotionally. A snake is a symbolic deviousness that could be a sign that greater honesty is required either from you yourself or from someone you're involved in. And we talked about that earlier. Insects tend to represent irritating problems or distractions. A spider may symbolize a small issue that could be larger if attention isn't paid to it. However, spiders can also denote patience or the success attainable through skill and hard work. If any creature in a dream takes monstrous form with exaggerated size or features, this is probably about coming to terms with your shadow side or aspects of yourself you find hard to accept. I think we kind of spoke about that too, the slaying of the dragons. But also, let me bounce back real quick because something just came to me that's... Okay, there are situations where we're talking about, like, besides just being absent parents. This is a phenomenon. It's just, like, I can't... Like, I know of the concept, but I can't, say, conceive of it because as a mother, I don't know how it can happen, but there's something called like pathological envy too, where there's a parent jealous of a child, and it kind of harkens back to falling under like some kind of like narcissistic personality disorder. And I don't even like using that anymore because people throw it around like it's just, oh, they're a narcissist, when there truly are narcissistic people. And now everybody that makes you mad is a narcissist. No, they're not a narcissist. They're just an asshole. Most people aren't narcissists. They just seem like it. Even we ourselves have to admit that sometimes we've acted like that before. We're just human, right? Anyway, back to... But there are parents that will use their children or think of them as an extension, as a pawn. God, the effects that this can have can lead into when they get married. So, I mean, if you had a mother like that, you can forget having a decent marriage. It won't happen because you probably don't even know that there was something wrong. Then you could have had a father that was abusive or beat you, and now, I mean, parents can just like mess your life up so bad. And so that's one thing that you have to stop and think about, right? Is if you went through all this and you're like thinking back, oh, I screwed up I did this. I mean, you have to stop and think. You cannot blame yourself. People have brought you into this world, like, they're responsible for you, right? I mean, even myself as a parent, I have to admit that, like, I had my kids when I was younger, and sure, if I had them now, I would have been a much better mother because I know so much more now, but I've raised my kids and they turned out pretty good, so, yeah, but I could have done a lot better if I would have known then what I know now, and I'm sure all parents think like that, well, the ones who, like, give a shit, but anyway, so don't sit there and blame yourself for all this stuff that you have going on, or if you have anything going on, or if you had stuff going on in the past, because you didn't ask to be brought into this world, right? So if somebody didn't nurture you to be a functioning adult the proper way. You can't blame yourself. And if you recognize that, there's plenty of ways to deal with that kind of stuff. Just work through your past, go talk to somebody. Once you get it out in the open and you start like opening up and you see like what it will all make sense to you, and you're like, oh, that's why there's so many like connections to developmental childhood through into adulthood that you don't know unless you open it up and look at it. Now, you could be opening Pandora's box, sure. Is it going to be uncomfortable? Yeah. But it's worth it, because if you do that, then you're ensuring that, one, you're going to have a good relationship with your spouse, and two, that you're going to be able to be a good parent for your children, which in turn makes them good parents, and you're stopping that like cycle of bad parenting or whatever because you knew to deal with it. You see what I'm saying? It's a toxic legacy that'll go on if it's not handled. So enough, I'll get off the podium here. My point is that if it's something that you think could be an issue, it's worth talking to somebody about. The cell phone. The phone represents your ability to communicate. Problems communicating. But I'm also seeing that, we just talked about the cell phones and this KP index and that. And so the other thing is that I mentioned, I think in the first video, that Mercury will be going retrograde again on October 13th. So I'm just making sure it wasn't Friday the 13th. It's bad enough that we have a full moon on Halloween. Just a little side note here. It's a juicy tidbit that I could have saved for November. But Mercury does go stationary on election day. So, if there's going to be any allegations of miscommunication or shadiness around elections with Mercury going stationary, I'm not making that prediction. I'm just interested to see how that's going to all play out. So, anyway, so I'll let you guys go. And don't forget to subscribe or like